Hey guys, Adair Blackledge here at the Blackledge Face Center. We have a brand new Botox patient here, Bailey. You've never had Botox.
Right.
You nervous?
Kind of.
Does your husband know?
He does.
Well, this is a first. Okay. Now let's look at your face because I want to show you what happens when we do a Botox consultation. Bailey, show me what bothers you because we're on the same page. You're young 20s, and that's what we're seeing now is young 20s starting to come in doing preventative Botox versus corrective Botox. So show me what bothers you, okay? Do you mind?
No, I would say probably across my forehead more. My wrinkles right there, probably my...
Raise your brows. Your mom or dad had those.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, these are, and there's been a theme today in that we're treating our teachers, and these are teacher lines because you're a teacher.
Yes, sir.
These are teacher lines if I've ever seen them. You're very expressive. And the key with Botox is you don't want to lose that expressiveness. You want to actually have expression, just let's get rid of the lines. So let's talk about Bailey, because if all we're doing is getting rid of these lines, then we're really doing you a disservice. When we do your Botox, not only do we want to smooth these out, we also want to give you a little bit of a brow lift, because you can tell, you see that, Bailey? Mm-hmm. Do you see what's going to happen if we give you just a little bit of a brow lift? It's going to be so pretty right there. Now, a lot of people, the questions that we have with Botox are always, number one, the biggest question is where can we do Botox? We do Botox in the glabella area, the number 11s. We do them across the forehead, crow's feet. We've started doing Botox in other areas from here down. A lot of areas that we're doing is what's called the tech neck. That's because people are constantly looking at their phones and they're getting horizontal lines on their neck. Botox works great for those areas. Someone as young as you, though, we're just going to focus on this area up here because that's really, we don't want you looking overdone. We want you to look like you. That's so important.
Yes, sir.
So let's show, when we do Botox, we're constantly just remembering that. How was that? Was that bad?
Nope, not at all.
Were you nervous? Feel it. Perfect. You know, we use a small needle. It's actually a 32 gauge needle. And that's smaller than, how are you doing?
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm great.
Okay. That's actually smaller than a little insulin gauge needle. And so people talk all the time. They're so nervous that Botox is going to hurt. And I tell them, you know what? It's the needles are so small that it's almost impossible to fill the injections. Yeah. Now, you can tell with her injections, we don't have any bleeding, we don't have any bruising, and it's going to take about 3 to 4 days before it starts to take effect. There are no do's and no don'ts today, no limitations. And the key, when you raise your brows, look in this mirror with me, Bailey. Raise your brows for me. When you raise your brows in about 5 days, you're still going to be able to raise your brows. It's just that these lines are going to be gone, which is going to be a really, really nice effect. Now, someone as young as you, I would say twice a year. Twice a year is all you need to do. No more than that, because we're really wanting just to keep those going, and we're not trying to correct anything. It's all about prevention. So, Bailey gets her first Botox here at the Blackledge Face Center. We have Reagan here. First time Botoxer, never done it. Never thought you would do it, right?
Wanted
to, but never thought you would do it. And so Reagan's here because she said, Adair, my number 11s, because you're young. And so this is something that you've just inherited. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of tired. Exactly. You're kind of tired of having the number 11. Mm-hmm. So Botox is great for this area. But let me show you where else Botox is great for. It's great for horizontal lines. It works so well for out here in the crow's feet. And in fact, one area that I love to do, especially for people that are getting ready for weddings, because it photographs so well, is we put one little drop of Botox right underneath the eyes, and it opens up the eyes. It just tends to open up the eyes in photography. Another area that we do Botox, you'll see a lot of people that start to grind their teeth. And so we'll do Botox in this muscle called the masseter muscle. And what that does is, number one, dentists love us because you don't grind your teeth as much. But the second thing is you go from a very box-shaped face to a heart-shaped face because that muscle just relaxes and starts to go like that. The last area that we really are starting to use a lot of Botox on is this oral area, putting it in the lips to give us a little bit of a lip flip. and then putting it in the chin to soften, smooth the chin area, especially in patients that have almost a little dimpling from years and years of sun damage. So those are the areas that we're starting to use Botox in that 5 years ago we never used. So what we're going to do on Reagan is we're going to get rid of the number 11s. People ask me all the time, okay, Adair, how do you choose which Botox we're going to use? Because you know what, we're up to 4 kinds now. We have Nutox, Botox, Xeomin, Dysport, and I'm going to tell you a secret. There is actually another Botox that's coming out next year. It's going to last 6 months. That's like a hair color that lasts 6 months. You don't know anything about hair color, but you're too young. Trust me, in about 20 years, you're going to know what it would mean to you if you had a hair color that lasted 6 months. But basically, a Botox that's going to last 6 months it's going to be so popular. We're so excited about it. How do I choose which one? Well, you know, it really depends on, when I'm looking at a patient, the effect that they want, because I'm always looking at patients and trying to decide what we want to do with their brows, how much lift we want, how soon they want the effect. The product called Nutox right now, it kicks in so soon. It takes effect in about 3 days, and patients are loving that because it still lasts the same amount of time, but it kicks in a little bit sooner. So we're going to use Nutox on Reagan, and I'm going to let you just rest your head back, and we'll do again just little micro sprinkles of Botox. The thing about Botox in young people like Reagan is you just don't want anybody to look like they've gotten Botox. There's nothing worse than that look. And so in Reagan's case, especially with her being as young as she is, we're just doing sprinkles of Botox. And those little sprinkles of Botox are going to last her about 4 months. Now, in about 3 days, she won't be able to make that frown, that scowl. And that's going to be a good thing. And then she'll be back in about 4 months, and there'll be time to do it again. The other question I get a lot of times is, how soon? What age do I start doing Botox? That question's tricky because it really depends on when it starts to bother you. I think that as patients are starting to look at themselves more at younger ages, because Reagan, how many selfies do you take a day?
I'm not a selfie.
You're not a selfie person. Okay, that's fine. Most people your age are taking somewhere between 150 and 200 selfies a day. And so those patients are looking at themselves a lot. And so those people are starting to do Botox at a younger age. I tell people all the time, the key, it's not about how often you do it, it's who's doing it and how small a dosage is. Because we never want anybody to look like they've gotten Botox. So, baby Botox for Reagan here at the Blackledge Face Center.